Welcome back to Non News. This is Raquel, and our next guest was Samantha from And the Table. She is the founder and CEO of this wonderful company and wonderful idea of women getting together, networking, talking about the good times of their career, the bad times, or even the times where they need help. It's just another way to get together, network, and then also make friends. So I thought this is a brilliant idea to bring on here because it is a very non-niche to do, especially if you want to get away from like the dating apps that turn to friend apps. I never really understood that myself, but Samantha took it upon herself to make this wonderful company by just bringing community together. And it's a piece of her and how she felt like whenever she had dinner with her family and friends. So she brought that into a business and is spreading it around the world. And the Table is making a strong impact. And I can't wait for you to hear all the good details and what she's up to next. So let's tune in to the video. Hi. Hello.
Hello, my dear. How are you doing?
Good. How are you doing today?
Doing great. It's a sunny day here in Amsterdam, so when we get
Ooh.
those, it's the best city in the world.
You know what? After our little conversation about like Amsterdam, I did look at some because I have a thing for real estate. So I was looking, I was just like, I have always wanted to live there. And like more and more people that I've been like getting in contact with me like, yeah, I live in Amsterdam. I'm like, Lord, I don't know if this is a sign, but
It
I'm definitely
it's a sign. It's a great place to come and visit, but it's an amazing place to live. I mean, I've lived here for 6 years now,
Wow.
so I call it home. I'm lucky to call it home, and it's basically the same amount of distance from Philadelphia, where I'm originally from, to California. Maybe a little bit longer, but I try to tell myself it's somewhat the same.
You do. You have to like talk yourself into it.
You have to jump on a long flight one way or the other. So
Yeah.
I just went the Europe route instead of the California route.
I mean, like, also, like, you think about, like, the safety, the experience, and then, like, the culture of it. It's more like, yeah, maybe a couple hours. But, like, this is what I get. I think it's a fair trade, to be honest with you.
Definitely is. I feel Amsterdam, I've definitely never felt unsafe. You can get everywhere on your bike. I mean, even if you're to walk from one side to the other side of the city, it would really take you like an hour and a half. So those are just just a few of the great pluses of living in this city. And I actually don't think I would have been able to start And the Table in any other city. So I'm so super thankful that this was the city I was able to start it in, and now it's the hub of it, it's the home of it, but now it's growing worldwide.
I know. So let's talk a little bit more about your company and like how you got started. I know we've kind of already spoke before, but I really want to deep dive into it and like basically tell everyone here. We have like 19 people here. Hello, everyone. Thank you for
Hey, everyone. I'm so excited everyone's here. I know this is our first one too, so you're just like, are people gonna show up? Are they gonna listen? So I'm really excited everyone's here and you get to hear a bit of an insight of all of this and all the other questions you have.
No, so I'm really excited. So let's get started. Awesome. So tell me how you basically originally started with And the Table and how the mindset just came to you.
Yeah. So I think it all drills down to the why I started it. And when I first moved to Amsterdam, I didn't know anyone. I didn't have any friends. I had the few people I knew because I came here on my own. I didn't have, I gave myself 6 months to find a job. And with not knowing anyone, I was like, how do I make friends outside of a networking space? And I was going to all these big networking events, but really felt that those different the different people I was meeting, those relationships were really transactional. So with those transactional meetings, it felt like those sat in like this business space, but I was like, cool, how do I make friends other than just like constantly getting coffee with women? And it felt kind of repetitive asking for that. And so my why of just wanting to connect, wanting to meet new women, because as we get older, friendship gets fucking harder. I don't know if I'm allowed to curse on here, and I think I saw my mom, so I'm sorry, Mom.
You're like, future people, there is some language.
It really gets harder as we get older. I was like, how do I consistently find spaces that I can meet new women that it isn't networking? And I felt really weird swiping on what was a dating app that turned into a friendship app. So I was like, okay, why don't I just invite women over for dinner? It's something I love doing. I love cooking. I love hosting women. I love in-depth conversation in small settings. So they really just started off first as Sam's dinners, and that's how it began. It always held that same premise. And this was all the way back in 2017. So some people think this just started in 2022, but it's been going on for quite some time. It just had a few different names in the meantime because it was a passion thing.
Right.
So it was back then when it started, I did it with a friend here in Amsterdam as well, because I didn't have that much of a network. She knew a lot of people, and then she actually moved outside of Amsterdam, and I kept them up. But if you're going all the way back to my childhood, I've been having dinners like this in my home because we would always celebrate Shabbat on Friday night, and like my ass needed to be in that seat. Like I could bring whoever I wanted. Both my siblings brought friends. My parents would bring friends we've never met before. So we would constantly be having conversation with strangers, and you'd be sitting next to someone you never met before. But that just transitioned into a really safe space for me into these dinners, because the table and the food was that safe haven of conversation where you could talk about your week more than just like, hey, how you feeling? You feeling okay? Like, which we constantly is like, you good? I'm good. Okay, cool. So that personal why of wanting to connect really turned into me realizing how many other women had that exact same why, and there wasn't a well-crafted space to do it, and it's turned into our whole why of the company being connection at any age, because it should be for as young or as old as you are. You should always be able to show up for a table and sit around with these magnificent women and connect over this meal. So that's like the basics, the core of why. And when it started, it relaunched again, let's say in 2022, and that's where I gave it the name And the Table. And I was like, you know what, let's make a little Instagram, let's just like show women what I'm doing. And within the first month, there were 500 requests. And this was just my table. I was like, this is a passion project. I'm not making this a company. It's not going to happen. I need creative expression through this. And like, now a year later, we're
You're like, by the way, I have 15 people who want to do it. That turned into 500.
Well, so it's... And I think the thing that I've loved the most is the how of it all. The how, what is the construct? It's never more than 6. It's always around a dinner table, or sorry, it's always around a table, because we do brunch and lunch too. It's meaningful conversation. It's delicious food. And now we have 65 magnificent hosts across 10 different countries. And it's continuing to grow. We have a we have
Cool.
the first phase of a platform, which I know can be maybe sometimes a bit frustration for people, but I still try to remind people it's just me, and but we're figuring it out day by day, and it's really great.
Well, that's amazing. And I wanted to go back into like how we were talking about having friends, like making friends as an adult. You do, like, I find myself like going to the networking functions and trying to network, but like at the end of the day, it was just like trying to make a connection for business and not like, you know, like an actual friendship where you can also have the friends in the networking
It
connection.
is. And they go
And
hand in, and you learn about each other so much
yeah,
more by saying, hey, past like, okay, how do we deal with this situation or help move each other forward within a business sense,
exactly.
but actually what's going on in your life? What are topics of discussion? Which are different pain points in your life or things you're not finding friends to relate on, that you can come to a table with 6 women, no one knows each other, and you're all sitting around each other because you have decided to live a child-free life.
Yeah.
And you
Yeah.
haven't had that group of friends because all your friends are having kids, but now you've just met 5 women that are making the exact same decision that
Mm-hmm.
you are in life, and you don't feel so alone with it. And that's just one example, but there's countless amount of themes each month that do exactly that.
And I do want to discuss like a little bit of the things because I think it's important because with social media it's hard to find like authentic engagement,
Mm-hmm.
which you typically find with your friends, but as you get older your friends evolve hopefully, and then like you transition, you move away, and then you're just like, in like you're saying in your situation, it's just like you don't know anybody, so you want to have those really good connections, and having that aspect of having a table where you've always experienced like authentic conversations and helpful situations and tips, tricks, we all need that as like as a human being. It's just not just surface level of support, because sometimes like just having a conversation might enlighten you to have an idea, or fix a problem that you've been having for years, no matter like how little or small. So I think that's just great. And being a one woman show, that's hard to do because navigating like, okay, so this started as this, so you have to transitionally get it into the influx of what social media is, but also stay true to the mission that you offer.
And
And I think you do that in a
that's,
very well balanced
thank
way. And
you.
I was I
It's a
was on your
constant
website
challenge.
the other day and I was talking to my mom. My mom's my best friend. So I was like, Mom, you gotta come look at this website. So we were looking at it, I was like, her analytics is really good. It's still the same message, it's very cohesive. And when I was doing your marketing, like I made sure that I was trying to get the right colors that you had that's also cohesive, just in case you wanted to put it on your feed or anything like that. And you and it's always starts as a passion project and turned into something that you didn't even know that was lucrative. And I think
Yeah.
that's how business is supposed to be, and it's a straight forefront.
It is. And I think it's a combination. Of
Mm-hmm.
course, I wouldn't, if it wasn't lucrative, I wouldn't be able to leave my full-time job and this become
Right.
that. And that was always the goal. And there was and is definitely a plan, and there's different milestones I have to hit to continue to be my job. But I think what it drills down to is, what, as we were speaking in the beginning, it connects my personal why to a business why, and those two, it's so in line with who I am, and it's so intrinsic to the woman I've become that it's very easy to write the copy and do the marketing and choose the colors and make sure the photography is right, because it is so in line with me. I've had 2 other companies that one specifically that was definitely not in line with just my personal ethos, and that was really hard.
Yeah.
It was really, really difficult because I constantly had to say, what does, and it was specifically for men in their 20s, it was like, what does a man in their 20s want? That is not me. So I'm so thankful to be able to be building something that is not just what I'm looking for, but what I see a lot of other women are looking for. And I'm constantly getting feedback of how to tweak it, and I absolutely love that. There are so many hurdles I have to get over constantly with this company that to have that feedback in a positive way is very encouraging.
Yeah. And I think, speaking of like hurdles, and especially when it comes to having different people, how to navigate, and because like these are people into your personal home,
Yeah.
and that's typically like your sanctuary. So, what type of trials and complications that you really had to navigate through to, one, bring safety, but also like I said, still stick to the mission that you had, to still have it like authentic to who you are as well as what you want to put out.
I think there have been so many different hurdles. I'm going to break it down into like a few different phases of hurdles. And I think if you're going all the way back to 2017, those hurdles were just like filling a table. Do women want to come to this? Like, how do I continue to grow and evolve my style of hosting? How do I bridge awkwardness within conversations when there's an awkward pause, or if there's someone who joins that has an extremely overpowering personality, or someone that doesn't really speak? How do I kind of help guide the conversation in the right way? So those were all the first hurdles. Then when you're going into creating a company of this, there is a whole other slew that you referred to when it comes to safety, when it comes to like, dinner series happens all the time, but how am I creating something with saying it's an invite system and not making it sound exclusive, but instead trying to really get across in a wholesome way that the curation is key to this success. There's an amazing book by Priya Parker, called Why We Gather, and she really talks about like intentional exclusion, and it sounds like such a harsh word and it's such a harsh concept, but it actually talks about how, especially in smaller groups, and this is how I've related it to And the Table, is you really need to be intentional about the women you bring together. It's not just me and you, it's the 6 women around the table. So that's been a big step with the company, of trying to figure that out. How do I create a platform for something that technically doesn't really exist in that sense of curation? Because you have like meetup.com or eatwith.com where someone just puts up a table and people buy tickets.
Right.
I've tried that for And the Table, and unfortunately those were my least favorite tables. And those I was the only one that did that. I didn't have hosts at this time. It was just me putting up those tables. But women can define a theme in a very different way than you are as the host. You then don't know the women that are coming. You don't know the commonalities to help that flow of conversation. So it's extremely important to know who's sitting around your table. So when I was coming up with this platform and I started to bring on new hosts, how the heck do I build that? Because I don't know code. So like, how do I do this?
Yeah.
So, and how do I use the experience of, I have some experience on Shopify. So like, how do I use that and make it work within like the confines of what I want to create, and not make it too complicated for the first 2 hosts I brought on to be like, do you really want to do this? Like, is this really insane? How are we going to make this work? So the processes of it working. So those were really big hurdles. And now we're getting to the place where we have 65 hosts worldwide. So okay, how do I deal with that and world tax on an international stage? I know some people will be like, oh, it's easy with Stripe, blah, blah, blah. With our system, because how it works, it is not. My tax accountants do not like me. Like, that is how it stands. How do I get the word out in new cities about this and find the right hosts? How now, beyond just the women coming on, signing up for the platform, connecting their socials, do we add that extra layer of security, because you're still going into a host home? That's what I constantly remind people. So hurdles for anyone out there that's starting a company, hurdles never ends, and you have to be so ready to every single day wake up and say, which one am I jumping over today, and looking behind and keep moving forward to the next one. And there's going to be some that you're just like lugging with you for years and years and years. And that's what I've accepted. And you have to love it. You have to love doing that. And it's a roller coaster.
I'm sure. And what's funny is it's just like, starting your business, like getting the start, you're on like this adrenaline high. You're just like, this is my mission. This is my passion. But what a lot of people don't realize, when you do go down the path of like starting your business, having it function, doing the tweaks and moving stuff around, you're going to make some people upset because it's not in alignment, or they don't understand what you're doing. And like, you have to be okay with like unintentionally making somebody upset.
Always. You're always going to make someone upset.
And like, people think that it's not normal.
How do you make people angry? This is a love it. I'm like, people always do. And it's unintentional, of course, but it happens. And you have to know that you're coming at it with a place of love, and some of it you fix, and some of it you just have to let fall off the wayside, and know what your mission and your why is, and just keep going with that.
And I think that's really important, because that can be defeating to my mom always said, like, honey, whatever job or whatever you do, you gotta have thick skin. So being in dance competitions for me, and then also being in sports, and like having that connection, like where you just had grown people say, like, you didn't do that great, you weren't great. You're just like, you're 5, you're just crying, you're like, I wasn't.
No.
So you do have to have like that tough skin, where you also have to realize that has nothing to do with you.
No,
like at the end of the day, like negative comments, people not understanding your mission, and then they're projecting, that has nothing to do with you. So you can't take it personally, and it's really hard not to. So you have to have a very strong mindset. And I think that also makes and breaks someone who is starting out, and somebody who is wanting to try to bring like a team together to bring one mission that you initially started. So I think the concept of like, people are not going to always be happy or understand like why you pick and choose. And it's just like, you're not trying to be like not inclusive. It's just you have to make it still aligned to what you have. Is like, maybe not right now. It's not like a hard no, but sometimes it may be a hard no if you're not comfortable doing the background or the actual check, because you're going into somebody's home.
Definitely. And there's it's really sticking true to your mission and what you want to create. And there's tweaks you're going to, like I said before, there are tweaks you're going to make with it. But if you stick to that core and your why is so strong, all the ways that you execute then that why is going to keep help building the company to the place you want it to be. So yeah.
So speaking of like getting the background check and having people, into the home, like how do you, like what is the process of becoming like a host, and
That's a good one.
how all that starts?
So Becoming a host, how we have the system now, and it's switched a bit. Becoming a host, we've had now, let's say now about 500 applicants for hosts. Yeah, it's been a lot, and we've accepted of those 500 about 65, and the reason in being because I'm looking for a really specific type of woman to be a host, and I do really want, especially when it's in a new city and there aren't hosts in that city, that first host is such a determining factor to who the second, third, fourth, fifth host is. So I'm really cautious about a first host now in a new city. I used to not be as cautious and was like, sure. Now I very much am, of who the host is that defines the women that will further then come on, because that's most likely the table all the women will be going to. Past defining that, which has been my own little journey, we have a place on the website. It's just hosting. It gives all the information, everything from our side, what we're looking for, what you should expect from us. And then you go through the application process of telling us a bit about yourself. We ask for a film now just because I can't get on a call with 500 women as much as I would love to chat. I cannot do that. So we do a video screening, and that video screening, we're now reviewing those, let's say 1 to 2 times a month. And with that, then we send an email to the ones we want to speak to. We get on a video call with them. We take them through the formal, like, this is how it works on the back end. Do you still want to be a part of this? We like open up the curtain to like, ta-da! Like,
You're like, it's us.
It's us. So we go through that with all the potential hosts. They tell us more about themselves, and then if we both say yes after that, then they come on. And with the hosts that we may decide to pass on, I really do try to tell all of them that a no now does not mean a no later. And I know that's super hard to hear. But like I said, especially in new cities, I am really, really particular about the host coming on. I want them to be a conversationalist. I want them to be engaging, outgoing, welcoming, creating a safe space for anyone coming in the home, and they can hold that conversation throughout the night, throughout those awkward pauses. I'm looking for their home to have that element of design, and just when you walk in, you're like, wow, this is stunning. And there's not one type of design I'm looking for. Some hosts are really like sleek and clean edges, and others are just like rustic and there's paint everywhere. And I love that difference, because no matter where they sit, you see who that host is, and you see it through their home. And then that goes to the last point, you also see it through their food, and that's what brings you together. That is, although it's not the topic of conversation, there's always the oohs and ahs when the food comes out. So that is really, it is extremely important. And all of my hosts have completely different cooking styles. Some do shared dishes, some do plated. It's true to who they are, and especially in a new city, that's why I'm saying those are the key factors in bringing someone in. And then from there, after the first 5 or 6 hosts, I do become a little more lenient on that, but that is now my plan going forward. But yeah, it's on the website, hosting, and if there are any questions, you write something to the info, and it's me or my right hand, Alex. She's my intern, and she's helps me out. So it's either one of us that you hear from.
Well, that's good that you have a helpful hand.
Yeah,
But
she's
I also think
amazing.
it's very nice because, like, something like that, you do want to have as much information up front. So it's nice to know that there's like an actual screening, you
Yep.
know, sequence and like vetting people out. And then also, I like the fact that you also want to create an experience when people do come sit down and eat with you.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, like, we're women. I know that we get guff about this, but I'm a sucker for interior design. So if I'm having good food and like I see the home like kind of immaculate, but like a cool way, like I'm gonna have a good
Of
time.
course.
I'm gonna feel
Yeah,
it like brings the energy.
you want to see who that host is. You want to
Yeah,
walk into the home and get an essence of who they are. Just like when you walk into a restaurant, you want to get
exactly.
an essence of what the restaurant is. You want to see what the smells are. You want to have the dog come up and cuddle you because that happens in my home. So, but there are all of those elements within the home you want to become a part of, and I think that's extremely important to see that in a host home. So,
Yeah.
those are, yeah, I think those are the most important parts about becoming a host.
I agree because I tell my like I said, I tell my mom, I'm just like, you know, I eat out of necessity when I'm at home, but when I go to a restaurant, like I pay for the experience
No.
because I'm outside the house. I'm gonna have a good time, and I want things to look nice. Like I want it to look, you know, whatever thing they want to. But no, it's helpful. But here's one thing: as a woman entrepreneur, starting her business in a completely new city, having this starting from honestly like 2017 to now evolving into 2023, and seeing the different variations from like how social media engagement is
Mm-hmm.
when you're trying to bring authenticity of energy of women to empower each other that you can't get on social media, and what's the difference between like having a restaurant and meeting at a coffee shop. Like what would be I guess the best model to keep you going every day to make sure it's a clear mission for everybody to understand what and the table is.
Well, let's say there's two different mantras. I have like our mantra mission for and the table that is that connection at any age, and that drives me forward also personally, but
Yeah.
it drives me for the company because we're really, I guess driven is the best word again. We're driven by the notion that no matter where you are in life, what you're doing, how old you are, what city you're in, you can constantly grow and learn from the new perspective and experiences of new individuals, in this case, women around you. So that is our why and why it continues to push. I mean, if I'm talking about my personal one, because like you said, it's like you're going to this new place, you don't know anyone, you're going on this journey of entrepreneurship,
Yes.
which is in no way, shape, or form linear. Just get ready. Anyone that says it's easy is lying. It's failure after failure after failure, and
Mm-hmm.
I still have failures within the table. People don't always see them, but I do. I have really bad days, and I think the things that get me through those bad days first, there's a great quote. I've been reading a lot of Malcolm Gladwell recently.
Okay.
So I've been reading a lot, and the quote is that insight is not a light bulb that goes off in our heads, but it's a flickering candle that can be easily snuffed out. And he talks about insight, but I also think about that with like ideas and whatever you want to create as an entrepreneur. Like everyone, it's not something that it's going to be like ding there. It's something that you're constantly going to think about and change and tweak, how much I change from what started at Sam's Dinners to And the Table today. Yes, the core is the same, but I went through so many avenues to get to where I am, and there's going to be so many more. And people were constantly telling me I was wrong. People were constantly saying, well, other women aren't going to want to do this in their homes. You're going to lose the brand if you do it in other women's homes.
Right.
Why would people want to do that? And I'm like, yeah, maybe, but my gut kind of tells me women do want to do this, because if I'm in a city by myself and I have a night off, why wouldn't I want to meet the magnificent women in the city? Because I can show up solo to this dinner. So that quote has been resonated with me through all those hard times. And then the second part to what gets me through that, I genuinely think is less about a mantra and more about the people that you surround yourself with and your support systems. Because, like, for example, 2 days ago, I had a really bad day. And I have them every so often here. I felt like the world was coming at me. Everything was negative. My concept was negative to people. I was getting it from all angles, and I was just done at the end of the day. And those are the type of days you're just like, why am I doing this? I just want to curl up, find that little black hole and like jump into it and be like, and just be like, I'm done. This can like go away. And I decided to share it on social, and the first 10 responses within the first 2 minutes were 10 of my hosts writing me paragraphs of just you got this is incredible, keep doing it. And then I look at my WhatsApp and I see my closest girlfriends who you're there for each other no matter what. And I should also preface, this is excluding my mother and my sister, who called me right away to make sure I was okay.
You're like, the support team of the family is always there nonstop. We're just saying like actual outside people.
But there was this great girl, I don't remember her name, on TikTok that actually talked about, she has this like 911 system with her friends, where it's like when friends are asking for help, they say like 911 is like, it is an emergency, drop what you're doing, come right now. But then they have like 911, 913, 915, and 917, and it like ladders up to like 917 is like, I'm going on a date tonight, like help me choose my outfit. And it like ladders up to like 911 being like, the ex texted me, I need you like now. Now we need to like, talk about
drop everything.
Drop everything. And with that hard time, and you have to build that with your friends, and I feel really lucky that they know if they gave me that 911, I would fly anywhere for my closest girlfriends with that, and I know they would do the same for me. And in this entrepreneurship journey, having that and having that support of, I had a really bad day, why am I doing this? What is all this for? Am I crazy to think that women actually want to go into other women's homes as strangers and do this? And they're all like, yes, we do. You're not crazy. Like, keep going, keep building. You had a bad day. Wake up tomorrow. My way of kind of de-stressing is working out. So I do that. And just get off social, get off your phone, close your laptop for a few hours, and take that time and decompress, and then wake up tomorrow and remember your why and get back into what you're doing, because you love it. And I love it. I still do dinners. I still have women over my home. I used to be able to do about 3-4 a month. Now I can only do 1, max 2 a month.
Well, you're busy.
Managing all the other women, but it's my favorite time. And I have gone to my first ones too, where I was a guest, which I actually absolutely
like,
loved. So
can I come?
it was so fun. I was like, I know I wrote to the host, I was like, would it be okay if I can't do dinner? He was like, did you apply? Were you like testing something on the platform when you applied to my dinner? I wasn't sure. I was like, no, I actually want to come.
You're like,
so,
we're testing out the bot, but no, since I'm here.
I was like, no, I want to come. So, which is great. And it's, you know, you really get to test the thing you're building and be like, oh no, I love this. Now I need to go to one in a different city when I'm traveling there. So that I'm very excited for.
I'm excited. And when it caught my eye when I was on TikTok, I was just like, man, you know, this is a great concept because it's bringing back that engagement where we don't get like, you know, recently single, well, not that recent, but like meeting people in general. Like, it's just like you go to the coffee shop, like I don't drink coffee, like I'm a tea person. And like, I was just like, I don't want to force myself to drink coffee to have like a conversation that might not even go anywhere.
No, I got it.
You know, and then to the fact that when you do have, I can't stress this enough. It's just like when you do start making your own passion into a business and it's completely on you, those rough days can make or break you.
Yep.
And nobody wants to talk about that. They're just like, oh, you can create your own schedule. You can do this, that, and other. Like, you don't need a 9-to-5. Follow your dreams. I'm like, yes, but those actions to get to point A to point B and sometimes to the letter F can literally break you in the meantime.
Yeah, some people don't understand that.
Exactly.
When you decide to be an entrepreneur, yes, you don't have to work 9 to 5, but you may have to work 10 to 2 at night. Public holidays don't exist anymore. I'm on vacation the next 2 weeks, but that just means me and my partner are in America. I will still be online every day because you're building what you love. So there are positives, there are negatives. If you're driven to do it and you get over the fear of failing, because it's not if, it's when, and you continue to push through that failure and you're connected to your why and you believe in your why, even if you're not just intrinsically connected to it, you believe that why can go someplace, that you're going to get there. And it's understand it's not a 6 month, 1 year, 2 year. Anyone that gives these like quick get rich things on TikTok of I'm making 10,000 a month and blah 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 blah. It's not that, and no company built with passion is based off of that. And there are years prior to when you see it in the lights that you don't see, and there's the daily struggles. But as long as you believe in that, then go for it.
I mean, like, there was, I think it was last week, and I was on a walk, and I had my headphones in, and I did not, it was like before, no, it wasn't last week, it was the week before last. It was 1 week, I think, a couple weeks ago. It was before I reached out to you and we started getting things together, and I was just like, I don't have like an interview set up. And I got scared a little bit because I was just like, what if it's just run its course? Like, nobody's reaching out to me. Like, nobody's, you know, it gets scary. It's those times where you're just like, am I crazy? Was this just short-lived? I'm like, okay, it was there for a moment. And I called my mom. I was just like, I know in business you have a lull. Like, it's just naturally going to happen. I was like, maybe I just hit my lull. And then I saw you, and I was just like, I'm just going to shoot this one. Like, I was like, was at my desk. I'm like, mid, like, tears. I'm like, I'm going to try. Let's see what they say.
You always have
Yeah.
to. You have to.
Yeah.
Everyone does, and whatever you're doing, it's like, it's especially if you're trying new things out. It's like you have to constantly know doors are going to be slammed in your face,
Hmm.
and they constantly are. They still are for me, very much so. People are constantly telling me no in the different elements or that I want to build around and the table. Oh, you can't do it that way. It doesn't make sense. No, it can't be built that way. I'm like, no, it
Hmm.
can, and I'll do it.
Well,
So
thank you. It's like,
you have to have a little bit of that crazy mindset to
hmm,
say
I
to
completely
to
agree.
to not take that no as the final answer until you've exhausted all the options for it. So,
I completely agree on that. So the fun news is, what is your next city that you're about to host in?
oh, that's a good new one. So, actually, new city that is coming on to And the Table, I'm debating which one I should say. I know which one I'll say, is Copenhagen. And
Shut
that
up.
has been on my list for such a long time.
Wow.
So we just brought on a new host for Copenhagen, and her table, if
Congrats.
not next month, it will be up in July, and I'm really excited for that because Copenhagen is incredible. It's such
It
an
is.
and then the next one, the next city I'm really focusing on is I'd like to get a few hosts in Mexico City. So
Ooh, that's
that's the next one
exciting.
as well. So,
Man, look at
which is
you.
which is really great. And then I'd like to go and join one there.
Oh
So,
yeah. Just make yourself like already known, like, hey, I'm gonna be there. I'm here to
yeah,
support.
exactly.
No, that's awesome. Well, congratulations on those two cities.
Yeah, very, very excited. So they're two great cities. I have one host in Mexico City. I think my new thing may be launching a city with more than one host. So I think I may look for one or two more before we officially launch there, but it's coming. So those two are definitely next, and there are countless in all the other cities. So there's a lot more to come, and I'm so thankful for all the people that have stuck here through this for 45 minutes.
I
Jeez.
know. Thank you all.
Thank you all.
On your lunch break or dinner,
I
we
know.
really appreciate that because it's basically fitting for And the Table. This is our virtual table that we're
It
sitting
is.
at.
No, it definitely is. If anyone has any questions while we're wrapping it up,
Yeah.
just type it in the thing and I can always answer while we're having the final part of the conversation. But it's during our lunch and dinner breaks, which is really nice. But yeah, it's going to be a crazy ride the next few months, but I'm excited. There's new parts that are coming. We're launching a new part of the platform, which is
Mm.
great. So there's going to be new elements that are popping up, and we have a really exciting announcement in the newsletter, which I can't say, but it
Yay.
will be in the newsletter. It will be in the newsletter on the 1st. It's, if anyone has seen the walking experience, which has now only been for the women in that are in or want to come to Amsterdam, we're actually coming up with a worldwide version. It's a little different, but that's all I can say. But it will be, and it will only, anyone can do it worldwide, but everyone's doing it on the same day and the same time, which is pretty cool. But more information on that on the June 1st newsletter.
Well,
For
I'm glad. I'm glad I got a little bit. I was gonna get something out of you. I was just like, I just want a little bit. Just give me a taste. I'll try anything. I'm just like, I just want to know a little bit. But I'm happy about the two cities that are coming up, and you're just doing so many great things. And I know that we have like a good family support system, but as another stranger to another stranger, I really appreciate what you do, and it's really inspiring. And I think a lot of people are afraid to reach out and take that leap of faith like of investment with themselves and also share that. And I think that's really important. And I commend you every day for getting up, creating what you want, you know, making other, and then sharing it with the world, and, you know, setting that experience to bring connection back into like this world where, you know, it's just social media sometimes. So it's good to like have it home. So you bring that home back into the universe. So I just really want to appreciate you and say thank you.
Thank you very much. Thanks for doing this. This was such a fun first Instagram Live. I absolutely loved it.
Yeah.
So thank you for all that, and we'll chat more soon.
Yes, and thank you all for joining in, and we'll see you next time. But feel free to follow In the Table if you're just tuning in. They have great stuff going on. And Samantha, okay, I was just like, I just want to make sure. I was like, it's a Sam, Samantha, I can do both, but
my parents would say Samantha, but like most of my friends call me Sam.
Okay. Well, I just want to make sure. I was just like, she said Sam, there you go, but I just want to double check I wasn't separated. But no, I just really want to thank you for joining me today, and you did an awesome first Instagram Live, so I had a blast like usual. But no, please follow, go support. She also has a lovely TikTok. They're doing great things, so if you want to be a host, there's more information on their website as well. It's very informative, so all the questions are typically going to be answered in wherever you're trying to find.
Great. Well, thank you so much for this. It was such a good time, such an easy conversation, and we'll see everyone soon.
Okay. Have a good day, everyone. Bye.
Bye, everyone.